There's a couple $100 trillion of capital in the world debasing at 10% a year right now. And the big idea is just stop investing in toxic money. I'll give you another idea. If you actually are investing in something you expect to go up 20 to 40% a year for the next decade, you're beating the cost of capital by a factor of 2. That means the right thing to do is go back to your venture capitalist or your bank and just raise $100 million that you don't need and buy Bitcoin with it. Because if the business you're running doesn't work, you will have a business that's growing 20 to 30% a year scalably for the next 30 years. That will work.
Cryptocurrencies, more than a decade in, are worth trillions of dollars.
It's probably going to 100, then 150, then 200,000. 5 years, 10 years, but it's going there.
Bitcoin could reach $100,000 by the end of 2024.
In this interview, which is adapted from the 2024 Abundance 360 Summit, Peter H. Diamandis, CEO of the Zero Gravity Corporation and popular Bitcoin maximalist and co-founder and former CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, discuss why Bitcoin will never fail, how to invest in Bitcoin, and the future of cryptocurrencies. Saylor leads the charge by explaining that Bitcoin is the digital transformation of value. He explains how it is superior to the current financial system. He gives the analogy that Bitcoin is like a rocket that has achieved escape velocity and, as such, is no longer bound to the Earth's gravity. He asserts that all other cryptocurrencies have not and will likely not reach this status. He also dives in deep to his psychology that has led MicroStrategy to becoming the world's biggest publicly traded corporate owner of Bitcoin. With a total of 214,246 BTC, MicroStrategy stock has performed 5 times better than Bitcoin in the last 42 months, and he explains his mindset and how he expects other entrepreneurs to approach this in hopes of similar results. Let's take a look at clips from the interview.
There's a profound statement made by J.P. Morgan 100 years ago. He said, gold is money, everything else is credit. Most people don't understand what money is. Money's a bearer instrument. Most people don't understand what credit is. Credit is when you have an IOU from a counterparty and they may or may not honor the IOU. So what we have today in the internet is you have a lot of profound applications that are digital transformation of information. We have figured out how to digitally transform photos and music and books and things like that. But we haven't implemented digital money. So whenever you pay anybody on the internet, you're paying with credit, not with money. And the problem with paying with credit is Visa, MasterCard, your bank, the correspondent bank, the central banks. There's a stack of 7 counterparties in between me and you. If I want to move $1 around, every time I move it, there's a 30 to 60 day settlement delay, 4 years before it finally settles, and all the money would be gone because it would be like 100% commission you would pay to the banks. So the problem with the credit networks are they're brittle, they're slow, they're expensive. I dare you to try to send money to someone in Africa on Saturday, or try to cross borders. Try to send some money to someone in China, see how it works out. The countries shut down at the border within each country. A lot of people don't have credit cards. So Bitcoin is money, and you cannot build the 21st century cyber economy if you don't have money. Money needs to move at the speed of light. The profound big idea is Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, they made all their money based on the digital transformation of information apps, which are non-conservative. In the thermodynamic physical sense, they are non-conservative. We're now moving into a new transition. I think it's a 30-year transition. It's digital energy. It's digital energy, digital money, digital capital, digital property. These are all just different words for things that are conservative in cyberspace. If I give you $1 billion, I have to lose it. I can't give everybody $1 billion. None of the great companies have been built on digital energy or digital monetary apps. The metaphor I give you as an aeronautical engineer, which I think Elon will like, is it's the difference between you launch something and it goes ballistic and comes back to Earth, and you launch it and it reaches escape velocity and it goes orbital. One is in space forever and the other's in space for a blink of an eye. And what we're trying to do is put energy in cyberspace, or put money in cyberspace, reach escape velocity such that it lasts forever with zero friction, superconducting.
So far, Saylor has taken the time to break down what Bitcoin truly is. He quoted a famous statement by J.P. Morgan that explains that the only thing that is truly money is a hard asset like gold. Saylor, who believes Bitcoin to be a superior form of gold, builds on J.P. Morgan's thesis and concludes that aside Bitcoin, nothing else is truly money. It is this thesis that causes him to assert that no other asset, cryptocurrency or otherwise, will ever get close to Bitcoin. Sit back as we bring you more clips from the interview.
Everybody looks at Bitcoin and they think, how do I create the next Cash App or the next mobile app or the next Fidelity or the next Coinbase or the next whatever? And they think really hard about that. How do I topple JP Morgan? That's a very difficult thing to do. You have a treasury in your company. If you put your treasury into sovereign debt, you're going to yield 5% pre-tax, 3% after tax, and you're not going to beat the cost of capital. The cost of capital right now is 8 to 10% in the US. If that's the case, your treasury is a liability, which means that any rational person would look at you and say you should decapitalize. If you actually are investing in something you expect to go up 20 to 40% a year for the next decade, you're beating the cost of capital by a factor of 2. That means the right thing to do is go back to your venture capitalist or your bank and just raise $100 million that you don't need and buy Bitcoin with it. Because if the business you're running doesn't work, you will have a business that's growing 20 to 30% a year scalably for the next 30 years. You'll double the 100 million 2 times in the next 6 years. So you'll be 200, 400 million. There's a couple $100 trillion of capital in the world debasing at 10% a year right now. And the big idea is just stop investing in toxic money. So if you're running a business and you're running a business on cash, the cash is losing 8% of its value a year. You're basically bleeding out energy on your balance sheet. And the simple idea for max performance is turn your balance sheet into an asset. We had a $600 million enterprise value with $600 million of cash, which was a liability. What do? We flipped it to be $600 million of Bitcoin and a $600 million enterprise. And the Bitcoin's been going up 40% a year. I can tell you will outperform the S&P 500 over time. You flip your balance sheet to become an asset, and today the enterprise value of the company is $30 billion. The stock's up by a factor of 10, the equity market cap's up by a factor of 20, and the enterprise value is up by a factor of 40. The Magnificent Seven generate all the returns in the S&P 500, and there are 493 companies that return nothing. It's not their fault. We blame the companies like we blame the workers for not working harder. You cannot outwork inflation. If the person that runs the currency or the money printer just keeps printing 20% more money or 10% more money a year, you just stop the heart. Basically, create a heart attack for every worker in the economy. And so my advice to anybody who's a CEO, don't work harder, work smarter, but really, you're in a rowboat, you're trying to row, the wind is blowing. Get yourself a sail, put the sail up, and let the wind blow you instead of trying to row across the Atlantic. You're not going to make it.
In a recent post on social media platform X, Michael Saylor posted, MicroStrategy has acquired an additional 9,245 BTC for approximately $623 million using proceeds from convertible notes and excess cash for approximately $67,382 per Bitcoin. As of today, MicroStrategy hodled 214,246 BTC acquired for approximately $7.53 billion at an average price of $35,160 per Bitcoin. In another tweet, Saylor showed the performance of MicroStrategy stock and Bitcoin compared to other baskets of assets, and the shocking results show that MicroStrategy stock has not only outperformed Bitcoin itself, but both assets have massively outperformed all other assets. It is this information that makes Saylor confident in his thesis that all corporations should hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets. With the recent relaxation in regulation, this possibility is becoming a reality, and the potential implications for the ecosystem are huge. What do you think about Saylor's optimistic outlook and opinion on the importance of institutional adoption? To see the latest in crypto news, watch this video here.